Conversation with Charles Bissue. He's here in flesh and blood. Good morning, Charles. How are you doing?
Good morning, my brother.
Why don't you want to become NPP General Secretary anymore?
Okay, good morning to your listeners. I do want to become the General Secretary of the NPP, but not now.
Not now. Why?
I've changed my mind. You see, I went through the process of vetting, nomination, vetting, and all that. And I made the decision with my supporters and the nuclear family and promoters based on the exigency of time.
Right.
What I realized was that there were 6 of us going for the position.
Right.
And in politics, sometimes you have to be strategic. The 6 of us, going through the vetting processes means that we are all qualified.
That's right.
And there's only going to be one general secretary for the party. So I thought through it, and I thought, it is not, if you want to work for the party, it doesn't have to be the general secretaryship position that you need to do that. Hitherto, I've been working for the party through communications and all that. And then also, based on the turbulence in our economy, IMF, and I've seen ministers having to go to radio stations and TV stations doing that. So I thought I have a strength in actually communicating the good works of the party. And then what is happening is that all of us are actually looking at the elections and then leaving a gap behind. I'll tell you something. In 2010, I contested in Hunter West for the parliamentary primaries. I lost. And then 2012, we worked together, and then things were good. We went to court. For the 8 months, I sat behind and I looked at things, and I realized that there was a gap in the party as to the management of the party. So I opted to go for the regional secretary. At the time, the MP then in Hunter West wasn't contesting again, so I could have gone in where, being an MP, you will be remunerated, and as opposed to not getting remuneration. But my the aim of coming into politics, one, is to serve. So I looked at that gap and I became the regional secretary. We got results because at the time there were 26 constituencies in the Western region. NDC had 18, we had 8. And we went and got 16. After 8 years of regional secretary, I think we maintained the lead. I decided that I'm not going to contest for the regional secretaryship again and then move up. But based on that, within the last 2 weeks, I saw what was happening, and I'm realizing that we are all focusing in a certain angle and then leaving certain gaps. So maybe I should actually offer to do that.
Your followers will be disappointed.
Yes, they were, but I consulted broadly with them, family and all that. We had a meeting, and the decision did not come from me alone. I explained myself to them as to how we're going, and because the relationship I have with them, my relationship with people is purely based on that's the principle before politics.
Right.
So even though I've actually withdrawn, we still have that relationship. And they were disappointed because they wanted me to be there. And the reason some are following is that they want you to become the general secretary. They know what you can do and all that, and they are disappointed. But I explained it to them that that has been deferred. It can come up another time or in another area within the party. Because I take the story of maybe a texter, a communicator, or somebody who goes to the radio station every day to help the party. That person is also doing something to support the party. So it doesn't mean that you have to be at the helm of affairs for the party to move forward.
But then the fact that you stepped up to contest John Boydu, who is the incumbent who's seeking re-election, and went through the process up to the vetting level, you were shortlisted, fit for the contest. In itself says that then you thought that there was something that John Boydu was doing which was not, up to par, which you wanted to go and fix.
No, throughout my campaign, I never criticized anybody. I kept saying that we have an efficient party, but it needs to be managed effectively. Effective in the sense that we need to be abreast with time. Hitherto, you see, if you say the party is rotten and that you are the one who's coming to actually repair everything, you're not the hero. I mean, you can't be a repository of wisdom. Because BJ Darucha, JB Dankwa, Pagran, they actually bequeath a good political party to us. So at every point in time, the party needs to be modernized. That was the angle that I was coming from. So I never even spoke about anybody at all. I was talking about me. So it doesn't mean that he was doing things right or wrong. I thought that I could do better. And in so doing, it means that by modernizing the party. And so if I am actually withdrawing, I mean, if you look at my statement, I said that whoever wins, I am going to help.
But John is your boss.
Yes.
Technically speaking, because you're regional secretary in the past, until recently.
Yes.
And he is your boss. So you sat at the table with him.
Yes.
Couldn't you have given him those ideas at the table rather than come out to publicly contest it, because that connotes that, well, then all is not well internally.
Oh, no. You see, I think, I'll give you an example. The Tories, Conservative Party, Cameron, Bojo, Theresa May, they all contested each other. It doesn't mean that you hate the person. You want something good for your political party. And our party believes in democracy. We believe in competition of ideas, and that makes the party solid. So coming up to contest him, it doesn't. I see him even before that. I see him speak and everything. It doesn't. Then it means if he, I don't think he's thinking like that. If he thinks like that, then he's not a Democrat.
The 5 others who are left, who do you put your money on?
No, I would not do that.
Why wouldn't you do that? You're asking for specifics. You say the party that was bequeathed to you by BJ Darocha, Pa Grant, and the RR Ponces of this world, or Dwayne Sykes, they gave you this party.
Exactly.
Now you're saying it must be managed.
Sechi Hughes.
It's Sechi Hughes. Must be managed effectively. You had to throw that in, I know. Efficiently and effectively.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you have identified one of them who could do this, or 2 of them who could do this.
Okay. So talking of Sechi Hughes, you left out George Hughes as well.
Right.
Of the yeah. Okay.
So you had to throw that. I know.
So yeah. No. I have an opinion. I will look at the person who has policies that I wanted to bring forth. But then when I was writing my withdrawal letter to the party, I actually wrote everything that I intended to have done if I become the General Secretary. So I've given that to the
blueprint is there.
Yes, I've given to the party. I'll look through if I'm going to, choose somebody, then I'll look through it. But at the very last paragraph of my statement, I stated that for the unity of the party and all that. So if I sit on national television and say, go this way, then I'm actually what?
But you're going to vote either way.
As a National Council member, I have to even check, because the tenure of our tenors, National Council members, elapsed. So I need to go and check that.
If you're eligible to vote.
Exactly. So that's, to say on radio and say, go that way or that way, then I'm actually,
Is Charles out of the race because of moneycracy, or he feels that he will not win if he tries because some people within the party have their favorites and they will do everything they can to get their favorites to win, or he thinks that it is just not time, which is right, which you have stated already?
Oh, you see, Donnie, when somebody's coming for an interview here, there might be favorites for a job. It happens everywhere. There's office politics, church politics, and all that. Even at the Vatican, when they're choosing the Pope. Now, I kept talking about the cliches within the party, which should be a thing of the past.
Right.
I look at competence before the person behind that competence. That's the way I work. So it's not because I thought that, I was actually strong in the race and all that. And I remember we talk about Dankwa, Dombo, and Bissue. And then Dombo had to give way. And his name is there. I'm not saying that I'm at that pedigree, but I looked at things and I realized that the little that I can do, come on, because there's 5 other people who can do the job. Can I help them to where they fall short? Yes, of course. So it's not a case of me, not winning. 2, it's not, for me, it's not about moneycracy, but yes, there is moneycracy in our political dispensation, but it doesn't always win, because I think the delegates must be conscious of that, because if you're traveling to come to Accra to vote, that vote that you're traveling from your village or whatever to come to vote doesn't belong to you. You know, when we're kids and they keep saying that your vote is your power and all that, I disagree, because this universal adult suffrage, you must attain 18 years, be of sound mind and all that. So it means that people are disqualified from voting. So when you attain that age and you're of sound mind and you qualify to vote, then it means that you're making decision for those who are disqualified.
Right.
So it means that it doesn't belong to you. It has been entrusted in you to make decisions for development and all that. So I'm applying that to our political party. If you come in and you think because, like Mr. Benepson was saying, you have to be given money for you to vote, then it means that you're selling your conscience and you do not love this political party. So this is something that all political parties, NPP, all of us must come together and ensure that it is. Because for me, our forefathers left a party which was good. We talk about the ideologies. We never saw moneycracy in it. So our generation, are we going to go and then where there's a perpetuity rule that applies to a political party, which is an unincorporated association that we are bequeathing moneycracy to them, and it will be something that will be bad on us. So I think we need to sit down and look at it.
There are those of your critics who say, look, you do not have a good record. Corruption allegations have been thrown at you, and that's why you're chickening out, because when the D-Day comes, people would use that against you and you would not be successful in your bid to become General Secretary. I think that's why you're quitting.
No, I think that's the best question for the day for me. See, I think I'm an example of where there's no corruption and where people have been attacked wrongly. Because you know what happened? I've seen people within this country that have gone through the same ordeal and never came back. But if I have done something wrong, I wouldn't even sit on national TV. I'll be insulting the intelligence of Ghanaians, the party, and my family. So that thing is gone. And secondly, I went through the party's vetting process. And you remember I kept saying that it was people within the party whom I was actually blocking from doing the wrong thing. Because I do not understand why we actually banned small-scale mining for 2 years. And then we're working for people, the downtrodden, less so to speak, where PNDC Law 218, which actually came out with the small-scale mining law that to create jobs for those in the rural areas. That was the essence of it. And then we come in and then we said, we are sanitizing it. And then a few people at the top tried to grab it, and then the downtrodden. I would not do it. So for me, even when I'm taken back to do the job that I used to do, the things that I did, I'm going to do them 1,000 times. I don't regret it. So it wasn't about corruption. I think that people have to study my story and say that where people have been accused wrongly in our society, they chicken out.
But you were captured on tape taking money.
Yeah.
And people say you were taking bribe. Were you taking bribe?
No. I've said it countless times. I wasn't taking bribe. And the money that was given to me wasn't even related to work.
Not at all?
No. It was from somebody, Chairman Woon to me, sending somebody to me. And then somebody else coming for help. And then they did a voiceover, to say I have taken bribe. And in that month, I had taken about 60 journalists to our forest reserves to actually showcase to Ghanaians what the devastation to our forest reserve. So if I am actually going to show something to Ghanaians, and the video came out because of that's what documentary that I was going to show to Ghanaians, because I did part 1 of that documentary showing what was happening in our society, and I was going to do part 2. And a lot of people felt that they were going to be exposed and that they had to do. So you realize that video was hurriedly done. And I think Anas himself regrets doing that because he never came there. Somebody, Francis Owusu-Echan, came whom I used to work with, tried to do illegal mine, and I sacked him. And then he went around to do that, and then he went and gave it to him.
Somebody you worked with?
Yeah. I mentioned the name several times, Francis Owusu-Echan. So the party disqualified him when he was contesting a Jabin because of this. You understand? But I kept quiet about it.
Why did you do that? Why did you keep quiet? If you keep quiet, then the lie sticks.
No, because when you're given certain positions, when the good things comes, the credit comes to you.
That's right.
Bad things, they're okay. So as a leader, I thought we're going into an election at that time, and the whole system was so polarized. So it was best to keep quiet and then speak later. And then thirdly, you realize that the investigative agencies were doing their investigation. So I didn't want to actually interfere. And then also, you see, I think I'm the first person in an Ado Danquist government that stepped aside for investigations to be carried out because I knew I was clean. So when he came out, I said, let me step aside, carry on with your investigation. And I've never done anything close to mine after I stepped aside because I wanted the transparency to be there. So
is Chairman Woon to me directly involved in all of this?
No,
people who are trying to frame you.
No. When the ban was lifted, I think 17th of December, Chairman Woon to me, Kejimfoa, and Chairman Kisi, they were into mining. And they are into mining. But then that's 2 years. Chairman Woon to me kept saying that he respects the president, so he's not going to mine. So after the ban has been lifted, we should give him all the license to issue to people. You know the way he speaks. That was a joke.
That's right.
And so after that, the ban, I spoke to Professor Frimpong Boateng, and I said, we need to speak to these people because they have party people and other people who work for them. And being regional chairman and women organizer, they are the best people to go out there and tell the government story. So let's speak to them. So we had a meeting with them, and then they said, okay, they have their licenses that have to be regularized. So Wontumi said he's going to set his PA. But at that time, my regional organizer then, Abdul Ghani, was organizing a program on the 4th of August. And Wontumi was going to donate. I donated 30,000. the parliamentary caucus led by Joe Gatti donated 20,000 for that program. The records are there. So Wuntumi's money came around January through Andy. But when Andy was coming to me, this Francis that used to work with me had begged Andy that there's a party guy who needed help from me. So can he take the guy along? So even Andy didn't know that the guy had cameras on him. You see, in the video, when Andy was driving, they were giving him money, and the money was falling on the floor, and he was picking it up. And in the video, Andy said that Charles doesn't accept money. So I'll go and speak to him. Maybe he had taken money from them to come and see me. I do not know.
You don't know about that?
Yes, but then Andy did not know that the guy had a camera, to the best of my knowledge. And then we came in, the guy came in. You remember in the video, the guy even said that the machines are out there. And I'm like, which machines? Because I didn't know about it. Even that time, I went to London, and he was calling me to say, oh, the machines are working and all that. And I'm like, I think he wanted to get a recording so that he can play. So, to me, I don't think, I mean, to the best of my knowledge.
Had any hand in it?
No. Andy, it was the Francis guy.
Francis.
Who was introduced to me.
But who was Francis working with?
He was the one who was found in St. John's Will.
Okay.
The DML and all that. So, he worked.
Oh, that's the Francis.
Yes, Francis Owusi Chow. He was the one. And then he was introduced to me by Professor Fomboatin. Because when I was given the job, most of the people that were, I knew nobody. They were introduced to me. And like I said to you, I look at competence before the person behind it. I could have brought people that I knew, but then people were recommended. I said, okay, let's work together. And we started the thing from scratch, because even that job, I didn't understand it. So you realize that I brought a lot of professors from UMaT, Tanadi Deteko, Professor Kukuma, Professor Amankwa, Vice Chancellor now. I brought all of them together, and that's how we came out with the roadmap, which is being implemented by the Lands Commission.
How did the president feel, knowing that he had reposed a lot of confidence in you? That video came, all the brouhaha, public uproar, and the hue and cry. How did he feel? What did he say to you?
No, when he came out, he was disappointed. But I think later on, when he looked at the video, he felt that, no, this is wrong. So he said, no, however, I remember the chiefs, all the chiefs from Western Region came to the presidency. But before that, they met me in Western Region and asked me to speak the truth, which I told them I knew nothing about. Then they actually moved to the Jubilee House to say, no, this is our son, A, B, C, D. And the president said, no, it is true. But then he wants the institutions to work. So let's allow the special prosecutor and the police to do their job. Then the police came out and exonerated me. The special prosecutor, I think, Martin Amidu, did his work. I sent about 4 petitions to them. But then the current special prosecutor... Yes, he was the lawyer for Anas in this matter.
Right. Conflict of interest.
Yes. Okay, so it's a whole...
But what is the status of those petitions?
At the time, everybody had been called. And at the end of it, before Martin Amidu left, I knew that they were going to issue a report on it. Because everyone had been invited and all that. And you remember in the Ijepa state case, Martin Amidu said that in the Bissue case, there's an issue of identity. It was the identity of the person.
Who, this the Francis Owusi?
No, Francis sent, he didn't come, he sent somebody.
Okay.
Because you see, if he needed something at the office, he had worked there before. And he knew ladies like Dorothy, Abigail, who were actually the people to do all this. So he could have called them.
Come to them.
Yes, but then he sent somebody because he knew what he wanted. And when the matter came, he was invited by the police too. And at that point, he even lied that he'd never worked there. You know, he didn't even state it. I mean, he was quiet on that. I pointed it out to them that he worked with me for 3 months.
How did your family feel about it?
It was bad, very, very bad. I think I lost my mother because my mother had 2 heart attacks out of that. And then everyone, you see, when it came out, they know my style. And they knew that I wasn't going to take 20,000 cedis. I remember my son, who was at Surrey University, he graduates on 21st of July this month.
Congrats to him.
Thank you. And he called me and then he said he saw the video and that could have affected him at school. But he watched the video and he said, how much is it in pounds? And I said about 2,000, 2,500 pounds. And he said, it's not true. Because when he finished his A-levels, the vehicle that I bought for him was worth more than that. And he knows, he knows me well. So my family felt they knew me because if they felt disappointed, then it means that, or they felt that it could be true, then maybe previously I had a bad character, but they knew it wasn't true.
Right.
But the problem was as to how to defend it. And through that, my mom had 2 heart attacks. And following that, she left. So for me, it's a case that I have to actually, I'm an example to many people. I've seen the story of Kwesi Nyantakyi, some judges who called me. I remember a judge called me from the Western Volta region, and he said, I'm brave. And I said, why? He said, no, he's never recovered, even though what happened to him wasn't true. But he's gone to court so many times, he's run out of money because the lawyers keep taking money from him. And I said, but you're a judge, so you should have. He said, no, I can't even, my transportation to even go.
Will you go to court?
No, I've forgiven him.
You've forgiven everybody?
No,
you won't go to court?
You know the greatest thing to me, my mom, I lost her. So if I go to fight on all these things, is it going to bring her back? No.
The president disbanded or if you like, how do I put it? The president dissolved, that's the word, dissolved the interministerial committee that you worked for. And Galamsey still is ongoing, whether we like it or not, after throwing all the resources at it.
Yeah.
What did that say to you? That we put together 10 ministers, interior minister is there, and what do you call, lands minister is there, defense minister is there, environment minister is there, everybody is there.
All of them.
You are secretary to them. And yet, the work that you were giving still remains undone.
No, you see, first of all, the dissolution, people, this thing that, oh, the committee failed. No, I don't think it failed. You see, the committee was an ad hoc one. So it was a committee that was brought together to do certain things. That was why we had 10 ministries. And at every point in time, every ministry had something to do. And the mandate was for us to ascertain that, because previously one mining license marries about 5 concessions.
Right.
So we have to ensure that 1 is to 1. We did that, train about 4,500 miners at UMAT. We did the alternative livelihood and all that. So everything went into the roadmap. That was what we were tasked to do. And during that time, we had to travel around the country with Kofi Jamesi, Dan Botwe, Hajia Alima, and some of the ministers. So at every point in time, we designed a task for you, and then we ascertained what was happening there. We brought in the Galam stop, the trackers for excavators and all that. So it got to a point that we sat in the office here and we can actually track excavators out there. And then I had.
But then you would usually deal with the boys in the pit, not the owners of the excavators.
So during the vetting system, I introduced something with the team that, lifting the corporate veil.
That's right.
That every mining firm, small-scale mine, has to be a limited liability or a sole proprietorship. Right. So when you do that, you're able to ascertain the directors of the company.
The individuals behind it.
Yes, because, when we did the research, when you go out there, you go in there, the boys are there in the pit, but the owner of the concession is in Accra. He's drinking Baltic water, and those people are drinking dirty water. So we brought all that together, and then we came out with the decision that everybody must have a registered company by law. You have to have a tax identification number. GRA came to the office. They did all that. That was the reason why I was hit, because I went through everything meticulously, that nobody escapes that net. Eventually, small-scale miners were going to have to pay taxes to the state. And I went through all that.
So have you made enemies doing that work? People within your party who think that you should have allowed us. I mean, Professor Frimpong Boaten's party, Hiasika, famous tape, is there. I mean, it's not been defended. Nobody has spoken to it. But it only presupposes that you might have made enemies while trying to do the right thing as secretary to the interministerial committee.
When you go to Colombia and you're made a police chief, automatically you become enemies of the drug cartel. So let's apply that to here. So in that said, people will try and speak to you, and you're actually blocking what they were doing. So yes, I made enemies, but like I said, I don't regret it, because if Ghana was bequeathed to us by a certain generation, and I think the country that they gave to us, when we've left, whatever you're doing now, your children would actually benefit from that. So
were you getting people bringing you stacks of cash to shut up or to do something for them?
I saw a lot of cash, yes. But I wouldn't take it, because the ideology was that, for example, if you bring me $300,000, then maybe it's 10% of what you've accrued. And then I was in charge of the military and everything. Why don't I go for the $3 million?
Right.
So I wasn't going to. And then 2, you see, I was doing my PhD. I'm still doing my PhD at Bristol University with the same thing, because then I had started my PhD in another realm, from industrialization in Ghana. That's what from the Gadgetsburg economy to now. Okay. So I started it 6 months into it. Then my supervisor, Professor Herring, called me and he said, "What you're doing in Ghana is a novelty." Of course, I knew, because Namibia they came here, Sweden, all of them came to the office and interviewed me as to what is happening in Ghana, and they were excited about it. So then I had to switch from my topic to another one, researching into sustainable development in the small-scale mining sector in Ghana. And I went for no scholarship. I paid for my own fees and all that. So I was even doing that for the state. So if whatever I was doing fails, then I failed my PhD.
All right.
So if you look at
the correlation.
Exactly. So,
threat of life.
Exactly. So
did you ever get those? Maybe my final question
yes.
to you. Because of what you were doing?
Yes.
People tried to take your life?
A lot. A lot of them.
A lot of people?
You see, after 3 years, if you go back and then you realize that somebody got closer, and then with God's intervention, you escaped it. Then you're realizing that, okay, with time, it was good that I stepped aside, because if I hadn't stepped aside, maybe somebody could have poisoned you, because whoever is coming to hurt you wouldn't do that from afar. So whatever happened to me was from within. Because you see, NPP and NDC, even within NDC, they are their own enemies. For example, when there are 100 positions and there are 300 people who want the job, but 200 people qualify for it, then they start eliminating it themselves. It happens everywhere in human institution. So, yes, threat of life and all that, because some can even call you. And the person who calls you that you see, that person doesn't really mean what he's saying. Doesn't make sense. If somebody calls you to say that it will kill you, that person doesn't really mean anything. For example, when I lived in the UK, if a white person tells me that you F black person, that person is not racist for me. Racism is actually something that they consciously do to you. And the moment you feel inferior, you have been defeated. And the moment you keep saying that, oh, you're doing this to me because I'm black, you have been defeated. Because I remember when I was one of the colleges in the UK, each time I get a higher mark, and then my lecturer would be praising me more than everyone else. So I went to him one day and said, I don't like what you're doing. He said, why? But I have to praise. I said, no. But the others, sometimes when they top the class, you don't do that. So it means that you do not expect me to do what I'm doing.
Are there Galamsey kingpins in the NPP? This government now?
No, it's everywhere. Galamsey, NDC, NPP. It is the only area, it's like the drug cartel, that doesn't have political party colors. Really? It is the money that brings them together. So we have them in NDC, we have them in NPP, or maybe the other political parties as well. Yes, the little political parties, there are kingpins in there. I have met them. You understand? The only thing that brings them together is the money. Not the state? No.
Let's we digress a bit into Galamsey issues. Let's get back into the NPP politics as we wrap up the conversation. Another keenly contested slot is the chairmanship. What do you see?
Oh, you see, for me, anybody who come and actually reinvigorate the system, because first of all, the political party gives birth to the government. So there should be a synergy, proper collaboration between us. Over the years, we've seen that, yes, the government is there, the party is there. We are collaborating, but it's the way we do it. We all have to put mechanisms in place for us to follow. And then there will be that synergy. And then you look at the sentiment of the populace. So the government might be out there thinking that it's doing the right thing. The political party, you sit in the middle, and then you listen to the sentiment of the populace, because you want to stay, you're the vehicle, you want to stay in power. So you should be able to tell the government that this is right or wrong. Sometimes, maybe the political party should even digress or be on the other side against the government and be with the people. You must come and then say the truth. So I am looking at a chairman who would come in and say that be assertive. If you look at Professor Amir Kufi, he's been a professor, he's been a minister, experienced. Stephen Intimi, he's been a first vice chairman. This is his 5th time. Asabi, he's vibrant and all that. So there are different ways of looking at all of them. If you put any of them there and they are not complemented by the other executives, you're going to feel, at this point in time, you can even bring Obama to be the chairman, but if it's not coordinated, that person will fail.
The country is in a difficult place.
Yeah.
Our economy is it's being questioned here and there. IMF is in town. We're seeking for bailout and balance of payment support and all of that. So you want to break the 8, but then the kinds of people you require to change the minds of the people to win back trust and confidence must be a very tough one. Somebody says that's why you don't want to be General Secretary.
Why?
Because the country is in a terrible state, and if the next set of executives are your General Secretary, your job will be arduous.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to be, General Secretary. Is that the truth?
No, I like challenges. You see, the time that I was going for MP, it was the easiest route for me. But then I opted for the regional secretary, which wasn't being paid for. And I'm applying it now. I've seen that we are all going out there. There are a lot of people who want the position as well. I'm saying that the party's communication is the gap. So if I say that, it means that I want the party to stay in power. Right. But I do not want us to actually wither or actually go into
You've seen the elections from the branch level, polling station, constituency level, regional levels, and now we're going for national levels. Is it the truth that the presidency is being cooked for Dr. Bawumia?
That's the perception. But has anyone overtly come out to say that this is what we want? No. Because he's coming from the presidency as the vice president contest, obviously they'll say that. People are saying the same thing about John Boydu because he's the incumbent. Right. So that's how it's looking. But I do not think that it's being cooked for him. Because you see, our voting populace, they're discerning. You understand? In 2008, people say it was being cooked for Alan Chemanton, right? But the party decided and gave it to Nana Akufo-Addo. So you cannot always impose on the NPP delegates. They have and they listen to the wider populace. And I believe that these executives that we've actually selected now have the same mindset because, like I said, our generation shouldn't bequeath monocracy or people imposing on us because our forefathers never did that.
Should Nana Addo be apologizing to Ghanaians? He promised not to take us to IMF. He has?
No, I don't think so. You see, that's the main reason why I am actually availing myself to communicate. You see, the scenarios are different. In Kufuor's time, there was a credit crunch, which affected the whole world. NDC have never experienced that before. And then it got to a point that there was an epidemic, which was a small locality. 215 people died. So if you're going back to say that at that time there was a pandemic, what would have that happened? It couldn't have been managed well. We've managed COVID well. And then within that, we have the Ukraine and the Russian war. It is affecting it. There was a pandemic too. But people are saying we shouldn't talk about it. It is a fact. Because let's take a biscuit, emanating from Germany. Cost of production. They need gas from Russia to produce that. And then the prices has gone higher. They're going to add that.
So you're explaining your failure by using Russia, Ukraine, COVID.
No, I'm talking about biscuits.
Right.
So the communicators will understand me. Because if you need gas to produce biscuit, we are net importers of whatever we're doing here in Ghana. So that person producing biscuit in Germany wants to maximize profit. He will add cost to it. You need wheat, which is from Ukraine. You're going to add it to it. In the end, we are net importers.
But you promised to take us from taxation to production.
So industrialization doesn't take a year or two. If you look at what we've done now.
Okay.
Oh, John, let me answer this one.
Quickly.
Okay. Industrialization takes 10 years and all that. If you look at Singapore, their GDP is bigger than the whole of Africa. But they started industrialization 40 years ago. So it's going to take about 10 years. So 1D, 1F is the way to go.
Will Charles be General Secretary one day?
Anywhere,
yes,
politics,
no.
You can never say no.
Yes, no.
I can be chairman. Even when Kit Jenfua wins, let's put it down, and then she asked me to come and be her deputy women's organizer, I'll accept it, so long as we have to go beyond 2024.
Charles Bissue, thank you very much indeed. Happy birthday to Kwame Manuel. He's a cameraman here at Media General. It's your birthday today, Kwame. From all of us here, we love you. Happy birthday also to Emanuela Amiyo Jisa of Hohoi. This is from your love, Eugene. Happy birthday. Also to Nadede Boche of Ghana's most beautiful, yes, our queen, is a year older today. To Mr. Sosu of the St. Joseph the Work Anglican Church in Kaneshie, it's your birthday today. To Major Gershon Klu America, it's your birthday today, Percy, and my good self sent this one to you. Gabriela Tete of the NDC, happy birthday. Ingrid Hasford, it's your birthday today as well. Akwesi Efi Archer of the UPSA, happy birthday to you. To you, Farida Bint Al Hassan, good morning and happy birthday. And to you, Salish Sumaya, level 300 PR student, happy birthday. May God be your guide and bless us. Kabila says I should greet him and greet you as well. So Kabila, good morning to you. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. We'll wrap up the week nice and easy as we get ready for the NPP's general elections over the weekend. Well, Charles Bissue is no longer in the race. Ayikwe Otu is no longer in the race. Will we get some more pullouts as we get closer? I don't know. Let's watch and we'll bring you all the details. We'll see you tomorrow.